Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really positive news today coming out of Superior, Arizona.
Yeah, it's about a brand new local creek cleanup crew that's formed there.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a small tidying up effort. It feels like a really significant step for the whole community.
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating is how it connects back to something much older.
Right. We're talking about Queen Creek, which is, well, it's vital for Superior.
Mm-hmm. And this new crew's work, it's really rooted in this comprehensive plan from way back in 1999, the Queen Creek Restoration and Management Plan.
1999. That's some serious foresight.
It really shows a long-term commitment, doesn't it? How planning back then can guide action now.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive, though. We want to unpack what this crew is actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
why it's so important, not just for the town, but the whole ecosystem there.
And how it all threads back to that original vision for Queen Creek from 99.
Let's dig in. So, to really get why this new crew matters so much, we probably need to step back. Look at the challenges Queen Creek was facing.
Definitely.
I mean, these were the problems that made that big restoration plan necessary to begin with, right? What were the big issues highlighted back then?
Well, the 99 plan was remarkably thorough in documenting everything. One huge thing was just trash. Lots of it. Accumulation, littering, even illegal dumping.
Really?
Where was it worst?
It was pretty widespread, but the plan specifically mentions Reach 2, which is a key part of the creek near the Marys Drive area,
Okay.
and also in the Tonto National Forest Day Use area
Hmm.
over by the old Pinal Town site. There were photos back then showing just how bad it was, a real blight on the creek.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. And it wasn't just litter people could see, was it? There were issues with, like, vegetation.
Yeah, exactly. That was another major focus. Unmanaged vegetation, think overgrown bushes, green waste dumped there, lots of woody debris piling up.
And that caused problems, how? Just looking messy or... Oh, much more than that. This stuff actually created physical obstructions right in the creek channel itself. You had things like tree stumps resprouting, really thick shrubs growing in the channel, and these could literally block flood flows.
Okay, so actual flood risk then, especially during monsoon season, I imagine.
Precisely. There were pictures showing how dense it got, like natural dams forming, a real risk to homes nearby.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there was the sort of quieter threat, the invasive species.
Yes, and that's so critical for these desert riparian zones, you know? They're unique.
Uh-huh.
The plan was really clear that non-native invasive plants had moved in and were, well, taking over, crowding out the native stuff.
What kind of native plants are we talking about?
Things like the native cottonwoods and willows, they're foundational to that whole ecosystem.
Right.
But the plan points out how they were really struggling against things like invasive tamarisk,
Yeah.
just constantly battling for space and resources.
Okay, so a triple threat, really.
Yeah.
Trash, obstructions, and invasive species.
Pretty much sums up the key physical challenges, yeah.
All right, so fast forward to today. This new crew is on the ground. What are they actually doing? And how does it map onto those recommendations from 99?
It's actually pretty cool to see it happening. A lot of their work lines up directly with what the plan called recommended actions,
Okay.
like Action 8. That was the creek cleanup and anti-dumping program.
Makes sense.
So the crew focusing on physically removing trash and litter from the creek and banks. That's Action 8 in practice, periodically getting in there and cleaning it out.
Which is huge in itself.
Hmm.
But that original plan, it also talked about getting the community involved, didn't it? More than just official crews.
It did. It had this great vision for like annual creek cleanup days, trying to
Oh.
get citizen volunteers out there,
Yeah.
promoting the value of the creek, getting youth groups involved, scouts, 4-H clubs, you know.
That's smart. Build that sense of ownership.
Exactly. And it even suggested local businesses could chip in, support the events, make it a real town effort.
Love that. What about stopping the dumping in the first place? Any ideas in the plan for that?
Oh, yeah. They thought about deterrence, too. Practical stuff like signs, obviously. More public trash cans in the right places.
Standard stuff, but necessary.
Right. But also, interestingly, it suggested adding more cameras, tying them into the police department's surveillance system to monitor key spots along the creek.
Wow, okay. Using tech for enforcement, too.
Yeah, a mix of outreach and watching out for illegal activity. It also mentioned that historically, the town had even used, like, prison labor sometimes for cleanup, so Superior's been tackling this for a while.
Okay, so that's the trash covered by Action 8.
Yeah.
What about the plants? You mentioned Action 9. Remove exotic vegetation.
Yes, Action 9. And this is just fundamental for the ecosystem's health.
Right.
The crew is specifically targeting those invasives we talked about, things like ailanthus, tamarisk, arundo, oleander, getting them out.
And that helps the native plants bounce back.
Absolutely. It gives the native communities, those cottonwoods, willows, and others, a fighting chance. Remember that battle against tamarisk? This is actively helping the natives win.
Okay, critical work. Then there's Action 11. Manage floodway vegetation. This sounds maybe more complex than just pulling weeds.
It is. It's quite strategic, actually, and it tackles both safety and ecosystem health.
How so?
Well, the crew is clearing out that green waste and other lockages we mentioned earlier. The direct result is better water flow.
Which means less flood risk for those homes along the creek.
Exactly. That's a huge benefit for residents. But the way they do it is strategic. The plan laid out specific techniques.
Like what?
Okay, so for example, selectively removing certain types of willow and cottonwood shrubs, the multi-stemmed ones that resprout aggressively from stumps and really block water.
Oh, okay. Targeted removal.
Right. But at the same time, letting other native trees grow tall, reach maturity, because a closed canopy of mature trees actually helps shade out and suppress that unwanted shrubby undergrowth naturally.
Clever. Working with the natural processes.
Precisely. And even thinking about how trees grow. Planting or selecting trees whose trunks grow parallel to the flow so they create less resistance during high water.
That's incredibly detailed thinking from 99.
Isn't it? And there's more. Pruning branches on existing trees if they hang down below the estimated 100-year flood level.
Okay, keeping the channel clear up to that critical height.
Exactly. Removing shrubby stuff below that level too.
Yeah.
And clearing out any log jams, those piles of woody debris that can build up and cause major blockages.
Sounds very thorough. What happens to all the wood and branches they remove?
That's another neat detail in the plan. It suggests the woody material can be mulched. Then you can either haul it away or, even better, use it as a garden amendment. Resourceful.
Very much so, turning waste into a resource.
Huh.
Okay, so we see the specific actions. Let's zoom out again. What are the broader benefits for Superior from all this hard work?
Well, you start connecting the dots, and it's pretty significant. Fundamentally, you're enhancing the environmental health of Queen Creek.
Improving that riparian habitat you mentioned?
Exactly, making it healthier, more extensive, and that's crucial in a desert setting like Superior. It directly supports the native plant communities, sycamore, cottonwood, mesquite, velvet ash, makes the whole local environment more resilient, more biodiverse.
And I remember you mentioning specific animals or species.
Yeah.
Special status ones.
Yes, that's a really important outcome. The plan actually lists several special status species that rely on this habitat. Things like the desert pupfish, Gila top minnow, those are fish, the lowland leopard frog, Sonoran desert tortoise, even plants like Hohokam agave and the varied fishhook cactus.
Wow, quite a list. Some of those are endangered, right?
Some are endangered, some threatened, some are species of concern. So restoring their habitat, that's critical support for these vulnerable populations.
And what about water quality? Does clearing trash and managing plants help with that? I know you said it's complex.
It is complex, yeah, mainly because of historical issues like mine dewatering upstream and wastewater discharges. That's a whole separate challenge. But yes, removing debris, reducing runoff pollution from trash, improving the natural filtration that healthy vegetation provides, it all contributes positively. It helps push the creek towards meeting water quality standards that are safe for fish and other aquatic life. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Makes sense. Okay, shifting from wildlife to people. What about the residents of Superior? What are the direct, sort of tangible benefits they're seeing?
Well, first and foremost, and we touched on this, is that reduced flood risk.
Yeah, that's huge peace of mind.
Absolutely. Managing that vegetation to keep the water flowing efficiently, that's a major quality of life improvement. And then there's just how the creek looks and feels.
The aesthetics.
Right. Moving away from those images of a trash-filled, overgrown channel. A clean, well-maintained creek just makes the town more beautiful. It enhances the natural appeal.
Definitely. Does it open up possibilities for people to actually, use the creek area more? Recreation.
For sure, a healthier creek naturally invites more recreation. The plan actually envisioned improved and expanded trails. Yeah, linking up with existing parks like Stone Avenue Park and Community Park, creating paths along the creek.
That sounds lovely.
And potentially adding things like shade structures, maybe some interpretive signs explaining the ecosystem, even dedicated gardens for birds or hummingbirds. Imagine that.
That would be fantastic.
But, it also highlights why the cleanup crew's work needs to be ongoing. Maintaining those trails means continued litter pickup, clearing fallen branches.
Mm-hmm.
It reinforces that need for sustained effort.
Good point. It's not a one-off fix.
Yeah.
And I think the plan also mentioned something about education, getting young people involved.
It did. Another bit of great foresight. It proposed having the high school science classes get involved in long-term monitoring of the creek.
Oh, that's brilliant. Hands-on science.
Exactly. Real-world data collection right in their backyard.
Well-
Plus, public education programs were part of that anti-dumping strategy, too, fostering that community stewardship ethic.
So as we kind of wrap up here, the big takeaway seems to be that this isn't just some new random cleanup effort.
Not at all.
It's really the continuation of a very deliberate, very comprehensive plan that Superior put together way back in 1999.
That's the key. It shows this incredible long-term commitment to looking after Queen Creek.
And it wasn't done in isolation back then either, right? It was collaborative.
Absolutely. The original plan involved federal agencies, state agencies, and crucially, they held public workshops back in '99, got input directly from Superior residents.
So community-driven right from the start.
Definitely building that shared vision.
And it's important for people to realize this kind of work, maintaining the creek, it requires ongoing effort, ongoing resources.
It does. There are operational costs, maintenance costs. It shows a real dedication to sustaining these benefits over the long haul. It's a marathon, like you said earlier, not a sprint.
What really stands out, I think, is how that careful planning from decades ago provides such a clear roadmap for action today. It's quite impressive.
It truly is a testament to thinking ahead and sticking with it.
Okay, so we've explored the history, the challenges Queen Creek faced, the specific work this new crew is doing based on that '99 plan, and the really wide-ranging benefits, the ecological, safety, recreational, educational. It really covers a lot.
It does. It's a holistic approach.
So thinking about all this, we want to leave you, our listener, with a question to ponder. How can understanding the detailed history and the comprehensive nature of a restoration plan like Superior's, how can that empower you and your community to better protect and enhance your own local natural treasures, not just for now, but for generations to come?